Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Wednesday. It is March 18th. How are you all doing on this March 18th? What is going on, everybody? Shout out to the folks in the chat. Make sure you all hit the like button, hit that subscribe, share this channel out with everybody you know. I would greatly appreciate it. We are 1 week away from the Yankees opening day regular season. They start their season in San Francisco. Starting next Wednesday. The game is going to be on Netflix, and we've been tuning into the games. We've been watching the games. We've been watching a lot of the players, or all the players, should I say, highlight or showcasing their skill set, showcasing themselves to see who makes the opening day roster. The Yankees have been slowly making cuts, right? So they've been slowly making cuts, sending guys back to minor league camp. So the roster is going to slowly come into fruition. And we know the obvious names, right? We know the obvious names. We know who's going to be on the roster. We know, but then there's other question marks, right, pertaining to the starting rotation. We know the names that are going to be in the rotation, but there's an argument to be made as far as who's going to be the fifth man in the rotation. We've heard Ryan Yarbrough's name. We've also heard that maybe Luis Hill may not be in the rotation, but personally, I do find that to be not a possibility. But then again, you never know. And then for me, and you've all been hearing me talk about it. It has been the bullpen when it comes to the New York Yankees. The bullpen, to me, is the biggest question mark. We don't know what that bullpen is going to look like. Again, we know there's a few names that are obvious. Then there's other names that we're not really sure of, right? We don't know who's going to, make the cut for opening day. And before I continue, I just wanted to congratulate Team Venezuela for winning it all, for winning the World Baseball Classic. Good job to those guys, man. That team definitely showed a lot of grit. They showed a lot of heart, and they deserved it. And they weren't even a team that was talked about as far as winning the whole thing. You heard about the U.S., you heard about Dominican Republic, you heard about Japan. These were the teams that were looking to, win the whole thing. But Venezuela came out of nowhere and won the whole thing. And their pitching staff certainly held it down against the U.S. So, shout out to Team Venezuela for making it happen. And now we can get back to focusing on the rest of spring training, and then focus on the start of the regular season. So before I continue, let me just say what's up to the folks in the chat. What's up, Jonathan? What's up, Beagle? Katie's in the building. What is up? Shout out to you all for joining. Thanks for popping in. So I came out with a couple of different versions of as far as predicting the opening day roster, right? And I'll talk about it. You all let me know how you feel. And guess what? I am going to do an open panel, which is something I haven't done in a really long time. I am going to do an open panel. So if there's anybody that wants to jump on and give me what they think, tell me what they think as far as opening day roster, who they think is going to be on the roster, and who do you think will, who they want on the roster, right? So, we'll talk about all that. Like I said, I have a couple of different versions of what the opening day roster might be. And I'm not saying I'm right on this, right? Again, there's names that are obvious, and there's names that may not make this roster, right? It was, I was having a little fun with it, playing a little musical chairs. The Yankees have a lot of guys, on the team, especially with pitching, which is, which was their big focus in the offseason, really, because we know that their pitching is going to look a lot different than where it was a year ago, right? Now, I did want to share this here, right? So this was one version that I put together, right? So as far as the starters, right? I feel like this is pretty well set. I don't see I don't see anything changing here. I think these are the obvious names that I was talking about. So as far as catchers go, it's going to be Austin Wells, right? In the infield for the Yankees, you're going to have Ryan McMahon at third base, Jose Caballero at shortstop, Jazz Chisholm Jr. at second base, Ben Rice at first. The outfield, I feel like, is obvious. Cody Bellinger, Trent Grisham, Aaron Judge. Designated hitter, Giancarlo Stanton. Okay. Now, with the starting pitching, so this is where, Max Fried, Cam Schlittler, Will Warren, these three guys are going to be in the rotation. We've already, we knew that before it was even announced. So I got Luis Hill at the number 4, and then I have Ryan Weathers at number 5. Right. I know Ryan Weathers may not be a starter. They may put him in the bullpen, but I know maybe somewhere in the future he could be a starter. But I got him as in this version of the opening day roster. I got him as a starter. I got him as the number 5. Okay, so this would be your starting 5 on opening day. Okay, what's up, Ken? Good to see you, man. Thanks for popping in. Shout out to Ken from the Yankees, from the Ugly Truth. The bullpen, right? David Bednar, Camilo Doval, Fernando Cruz. Guess what? I added Giovanni Cruz. All right, that might come as a surprise to people, but I'll tell you in a minute why I added Giovanni Cruz. And then Ryan Yarbrough, Tim Hill, Brett Hedrick, Paul Blackburn. These are the guys that I have on the bench, okay? Or excuse me, in the bullpen. The reason why I put Giovanni Cruz in there is because Aaron Boone was asked about Giovanni Cruz, if perhaps he could make the opening day roster. He could be in the bullpen. He said he didn't rule it out, right? He didn't rule it out. So, that could be that's why I put Giovanni Cruz's name in here. But I feel like the names like David Bednar, Camilo Doval, Fernando Cruz, Tim Hill, Brett Hedrick, Ryan Yarbrough, Paul Blackburn, I feel like these are the obvious names that are going to be in the bullpen. Again, this could very well change, right? You never know what, Aaron Boone and the coaching staff are thinking or what they have in mind. And looking at the bench for the Yankees, I feel like this bench, and again, you all tell me what you think. I have Ahmed Rosario, Paul Goldschmidt, Max Schumann, JC Ascara. Okay. That's who I have on the bench. Now, why do I have Max Schumann? I really personally, this was a personal pick of mine. This was a little bit biased on my end. I'm not going to lie, but I feel like with Max Schumann, he plays multiple positions. He could play second base, third base, shortstop. He can also play in the outfield as well. He has that versatility. His best position is second base. He had an outs above average of 5. So defensively, you want a guy like that on the roster. Perfect guy to come off the bench. He could hit for contact. He also hustles around the base paths. So I feel like this is, one of the best guys you can have on your bench. And I feel like he has shown off his skill set quite well during this spring training. All right. But this is one version of the opening day roster that I have. I'll pull up the other version here in just a moment. And our national pastime, thank you so much, saying he loves the show. Joining us from X. What's up there? What's going on? And Ken, I'm just looking at Ken's comments here. Oh, and Slow Burner, my fault, dude. Didn't mean to skip you. What's up, Slow Burner? Ken's saying I have Fried, Warren, Schlittler, Hill, and Blackburn. And, I know there's been a few people talking about Blackburn. Personally, I don't see Blackburn in the rotation. I know the Yankees have been kind of stretching him out during spring training. I get it. He could very well be in there. I don't personally see it, but I I could also very well be wrong here. What up, Beagle? What's going on? Your bench is the same. Cool, Ken. So you and I we see eye to eye on the bench. And Katie says I like Stanton in the designated hitter position. Well, that's his full time position. It's as simple as that. There's I don't think there's any doubt about that. And Ken said he would take Castro over Cruz. You're talking Kervin Castro, right? I mean, that was another name that I was thinking about too. I didn't put him in there, but I do like Castro. I do like Castro. I like what he has. Would I put him over Cruz? It's a debate. It's a debate, and I do respect that, but I like what I saw from Cruz. I saw him pitch against the Braves when I was calling that game on Friday, and I really liked the way he looked. I mean, he came out, guns blazing. Looked really confident on the mound. I mean, but I know confidence on the mound doesn't always mean he's going to perform well, but he was showing that confidence. And Ken is adding here, Schumann plays 7 positions, an elite player, hitting over 350 in the spring. Yeah. I mean, this is what I'm saying. So, I like what he has done in spring training. I liked what I have been seeing from him from spring training. I've been, saying, for the entire spring training that he needs to be on the roster, right? He needs to be on the roster. Again, a perfect bat to come off the bench. He's a righty bat. So versatile, he could play for Jazz. He could play for McMahon on days or night games where there's a righty on them or a lefty on the mound. So yeah, I mean, sign me up for Max Schumann, man. And Doran, good to see you, man. Hopefully you're good there, Doran. Jake Bird. What about him? So he's actually in my other version, which I'll pull up here in just a moment. And yeah, Doran was saying Fernando Cruz is a beast. I agree. I like Fernando Cruz. I like his energy. So let me take this off the screen and I'll pull up the other version that I was talking about. And I want to get everybody's opinions on this. Let me just make sure. Oh, nope, that's not it. Let me get the other one here. Hold on. Trying to find that file. Here we go. Why is this not pulling up? Oh, here we go. Okay. I see what we're doing here. Here we go. All right. This is the other version I have here. What's up, Chua? No, I'm not going to any spring training games. Maybe one day I will, but today, not this year. Oh, all right, Doran. Well, be safe out there, dude. I know there's a lot of craziness going on right now in that part of the world. Be safe. Everybody that is in that part of the world, please be safe. I'm just, you hate to hear that type of stuff, but I got you, dude. Jonathan says LeGrand will come later in the year, more than likely. So, I think he'll probably, they'll call him up at some point. It won't be in the beginning of the year, but they'll call him up. And shout out to the Ace Avenue Chia. He says, shout out to my boy Ace. What up, Ace? What is going on? Make sure you guys subscribe to the Ace Avenue. What is going on, my boy? How you doing? My guy's in the building. What's up? But this is my other, this was my other version of the opening day roster. All right. So again, I could very well be wrong on this, but I was just playing around with it. I was having a little fun with it. Right. So the starters are pretty much the same. All right. All the starters are the same. The only difference now with the starting pitching is I have Ryan Yarbrough as the number 5 instead of Ryan Weathers. Okay. And then the bullpen, I have David Bednar, Camilo Duvall, Fernando Cruz, Jake Bird, Ryan Weathers, Tim Hill, Brent Hedrick, Paul Blackburn. So I have Jake Bird in this version of the opening day roster. Okay. I have Ryan Weathers in the bullpen. The bullpen is pretty much the same, except I don't have Giovanni Cruz in this bullpen here. I have Jake Bird instead, and I have Ryan Weathers in the bullpen instead of Ryan Yarbrough. All right, and then the bench. In this bench, I do not have Max Schumann on the bench. I have Ahmed Rosario, Paul Goldschmidt, Randall Grichuk, J.C. Escara. Now, J.C. Escara is going to be on the roster. Aaron Boone has already announced it. He said it. J.C. Escara is going to be on the opening day roster. I had Randall Grichuk initially. The reason why I had Randall Grichuk is because, I'm thinking, fourth outfielder, right? Because we know Dominguez is not going to be on the opening day roster. We know Spencer Jones is not going to be on the opening day roster. So I think, that's why I added Randall Grichuk, but Randall Grichuk could very well start in the minors, and you might see, you're probably, I want to see Max Schumann. I hope we do see Max Schumann. So Max Schumann, could very well make the opening day roster. I think he should make the opening day roster, and he's a guy that needs to, come off the bench and, fill it and play for guys, play for guys that, for guys like McMahon or Jazz, right? I'd rather him play for Jazz just because, his best position is second base, but he's versatile. He could play it, he could play anywhere on the field. So, outfield, second base, third base, shortstop. You could put him anywhere. He'll play. He's great defensively. Hits well against lefties, right? Everybody on this bench hits well against lefties in both versions. Maybe not. Maybe J.C. Escara might not be a guy that hits well against lefties, but the rest of the bench though hits well against lefties. So those are my versions, really. Those are my versions. If you guys need to see it again, let me know. But those are the two versions that I have for the opening day roster. And of course, the opening day roster, it's not going to be the roster forever. It's just to start off, the season. The Yankees are going to have to ride it out till guys like Carlos Rodon comes back, till Garrett Cole comes back, which we saw Garrett Cole pitch today for an inning. So Cole is ramping up, right? I don't want the Yankees to rush him. It sounds like, May, June is the target date for his return. I know Aaron Boone said that Carlos Rodon, his return date is looking like April at the moment. So, the sooner the better, right? As long as these guys are not being rushed and they're coming back healthy, right? And they're not going to get hurt later in the season. That's the most important part. And I do think that the rotation then, I think the rotation then is going to be Max Fried, Garrett Cole, Cam Schlittler, Max Fried, Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, Cam Schlittler. Then who's your number 5? I'm thinking, the way things are going and what's being said, sounds like it could be Will Warren. It could be a battle between Will Warren and Luis Hill. So, Warren has made his case. I think he's been pretty impressive this spring training, but I could see him winning the spot over Luis Hill, and they could move Luis Hill, to the bullpen. So, the Yankees have a lot of pitching. So, in terms of pitching, on paper, they're in a much better position. How they perform on the field, that's the bigger question. So, we'll see how the season plays out, right? I see Jonathan and Doran bringing up Schmidt. I don't think Schmidt's going to be a starter, man. I don't think there's any way that he's going to get into a starting into the starting rotation. I think he's a guy that's going to be in the bullpen. I think the Yankees are going to have enough guys to fulfill the rotation roles. So I just don't see Clark Schmidt. I think he'll be a guy that is in the bullpen. The Yankees are going to have start. Yeah, I think that's going to be inevitable. I think they're going to have to. And this is my projected starting rotation. So I think that's what's going to be once Cole and Fried are back. Warren does have options. Hill has options. I mean, that's the nice thing. And in terms of the bench, man, I agree. I think this is one of the best benches the Yankees have had in a long time. That's been kind of a weakness for the Yankees over the last several years. Is putting together a formidable bench, but now it's like they have it. They have the names. They got good names on that bench now. I'm definitely a little bit more comfortable with these names than the names that they've had in previous years. Who to be a serviceable? Are you talking about Clark Schmidt here? But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what again Aaron Boone and the coaching staff decide to do in terms of the opening day roster. It's gonna be really interesting. But I think that there's a lot of obvious names, but then there's other names that are question marks in terms of who's going to be on that roster. Yeah, you were referring to Schmidt. Okay, I figured that's who you were referring to. Yeah, unfortunately he would have been a solid number 3, I think, in the rotation, but just injuries haven't really helped him, and he's good, right? He's had some solid starts in his career, but there's also some not so solid starts. So there's been some inconsistency. Jonathan brings up they have ERC as an option to start, so they don't need to rush Schmidt. This is true. They don't have to start, but I don't, you want to know something, Jonathan? I don't see Elmer Rodriguez coming up this year. I see Lagrange, but not so much Elmer Rodriguez. I think Elmer Rodriguez will be on this roster. I think he'll be on the roster next year. I think he will be a lock to be on this team next year if there is a season next year. So let's hope there is. But we'll see. Yeah, 2 Tommy Johns last season. The Yankees used 10 starters. Yeah, I believe the number was 10. They used a lot of starters. Man. So it got pretty ugly there because of the injuries. Dodgers used a lot too. They had a lot of injuries to their pitching, but they had so much pitching depth that they were able to sustain. And that's what's going to be important in the long run is you have to have that sustainability on the team. But the Dodgers they did. But you know what? They may have had a rotation that was on the IL. They still won the World Series, though. They still found a way to make it happen. But anyway, folks, with that being said, I'm going to provide the link. So if anybody wants to jump on the open panel, I haven't done an open panel in a really long time. So I figured out, I'd do one today. And if anybody wants to jump on and give me their ideas in terms of what they think the opening day roster is going to be come opening day, let's talk about it. And who they think is going to be on it, or who they want to be on the opening day roster. Dev Finch, what's up, man? What's going on, Dev? Good to see you, bud. But again, there are obvious names that are going to be on this roster, and there are names that that are question marks, right? So Yankees have a lot of options. It's just a matter of who is going to make it here. So I do have somebody waiting in the back. They already gave me a thumbs up. It looks like they're ready to come up. So Jonathan, what is up, dude? Let me bring you up to the panel. Let me get this set up here.
Hi.
Oh, my man, Jason, what's up, buddy, from 161? Hey, bro, if you want to come up, I got the link in the chat, dude. So feel free to come up, man. We could talk if you want. And we got Texas Buckeye in the building too. What's up, Texas Buckeye? Dev Finch. Jonathan, what's up, dude? How's life? How are you? What's going on?
Good, good. I got a very busy weekend ahead.
I understand.
Birthday weekend.
Okay. So it sounds like you kind of have your version of the opening day roster as far as who you think is going to be on it, or who do you want on it? What list do you have?
I mean, I should I give you the whole roster or should I just give you the rotation first?
Um, you know what? Tell me who's in your starting rotation.
Well, I got Fried, Schlittler. I think Warren, Yarborough, and my number five will be tricky, but I'm going with. I didn't say Lewis Hill yet.
Uh-huh.
I think the Yankees will put Lewis Hill there, but I personally would put Ryan Weathers.
Okay. So your rotation: Freed, Schlittler, Warren, Yarbrough. You're saying the Yankees are going to put Hill, but you want Weathers.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. That's similar to like the two versions that I had put up. So okay,
Yeah,
I could
I,
I
I
could
think I think uh, I think Hill would be a better arm out of the bullpen. Honestly, I've thought about that for the last 2 years, and with
Mhm.
this year we have so much pitching that the way he pitches, he pitches great for a short period of time, but for an extended period of time, I think he can be a little bit wild. I mean, Lewis Hill is basically a coin flip. One day he's good for maybe 40 pitches, and the next 40 he's pitching like he's an 8 ERA pitcher.
Okay. Yeah,
I
no, I respect that. But go ahead. You were going to say
yeah,
something else?
I think Lagrange will be on the team, but at the end of the year.
Yeah, to answer that question from official, Legrand is not going to make the opening day roster.
No.
I do believe that, but he'll be in AAA, right? He'll get more work down there. I think once he gets more work, I mean, he feels like he's at Major League Baseball already. He when he was asked that question, he's certainly capable. He's got the stuff. I
Yeah.
do think that at some point he will be called up. I really do think he will be called up. I don't know when, right? I mean, none of us really know when, but I
You,
think he'll be called up at some point.
you know who
Um,
Lagrange reminds me of?
who's that?
Dylan Betances.
Yeah, they got the same build, but they got the same build. I mean, I could see it. They're about the same height, same build, but I personally think Lagrange has better stuff.
I think he does too.
Yeah.
I think he's, initially, I believe Betances was a starter in the minors before moving to the bullpen in the majors. But look, I think the Yankees could have a solid rotation throughout the year, even without Cole and Schmidt to start. And once Cole returns, which my prediction is Cole returning around Memorial Day.
That's a pretty good target, I would say. I
Yeah,
mean,
that
Memorial
that
Day.
is my personal prediction. Of course, I'm not a doctor, but I think once Cole returns, we could have a solid summer.
I mean that's the game plan, right? I mean that's the game plan with the Yankees pitching is once Cole and Rodon come back, they'll have a solid rotation and then a solid bullpen.
Yeah,
So
I probably
we'll see
yeah.
what happens when it all comes into fruition. Now let me get your starters. So who do you have at catcher
Uh,
starting?
Wells is the starting catcher with a scar behind him.
Okay.
For infield, I have Caballero,
Mm-hmm.
Chisholm, uh, McMahon, Rice, Goldschmidt, Schumann, and Rosario. I think Schumann is going to be a bench player.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the outfielders will be Bellinger, Wisham, and Judge, with Dominguez as the fourth outfielder, and Stanton as the DH.
So give me your bench players again. I wanna hear your bench players.
Schumann was one of them,
Okay.
and I look, I think Dominguez will be on the bench. However, I think he's probably going to start in AAA. They probably want him to start every day, so
Sure.
they're going to have to. They're probably going to have to find another outfielder. That was my one problem is the fourth outfielder that's not Dominguez.
So what is the bench? So what is the bench that you have right now? Like who's on your bench? So you said Schumann,
Yeah, Schumann. I think Schumann and Rosario.
Rosario, okay.
Schumann and Rosario are on my bench.
And who are your other who? And then Jay Star is your other bench player.
Star is my backup catcher.
Okay, he's the other bench player. Who's
Yeah,
your fourth?
those are the three. Those are the three bench players because I believe both Schumann and Rosario can play infield and outfield. So I think that
Mhm.
would be very flexible for the bench and versatile. Versatile and flexible, I guess, are the same words.
Sure,
Similar words.
sure.
But I have also, I think Castro will make the bullpen.
Okay, but as far as the bench go, you only have Schumann, Rosario, Escara as your three bench players.
Yes,
Okay, okay,
I think to start the year, I believe that's the opening day.
okay.
You only allow. It's very difficult when you only allow 26 players.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, at
Yeah,
least
and
like I said, my bench can change regardless of what the opening day roster looks like next week because some of these guys that are on the current active roster may not even make the team out of spring training.
you're not wrong on that. I mean, Yankees slowly have been making cuts to the on their rosters, so they've been sending guys back to minor league camp, and then you'll hear more guys that are going to get designated for assignment or um, that may either just go back to the minors. So, and I know it's funny, I don't think either one of us brought up Cade Winquist. I think Cade Winquist is going to get traded back to St. Louis.
Traded? No, he wouldn't be traded. He'll be the way a Rule 5 draft works. If you don't make the team out of spring training, they are offered back for half the price.
Yeah,
So
so
it's
they
not
would,
traded.
they would offer him back, but I don't see guys like Cade Winquist making this team. I
No,
think, oh yeah, see that. Don't forget. That's why I was asking you about the bench, and Jason brought up Goldschmidt, so don't forget
Goldschmidt.
Goldschmidt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, Jason, I saw your comment about Luis Hill about working on his release point. I did also see that too, and I think that was part of. Um, I think that was part of the difficulty with Luis Hill as the release point. I think if he could fix his release point, I think he'd be a solid. I think he'd be a solid pitcher in the rotation.
So you're thinking Ben Rice is going to be the opening day first baseman?
Absolutely. I mean, why do you feel differently? Sounds like you feel differently.
I I don't know. Look, based on the way things going with Goldschmidt signing so late, I think he will be. But it depending on the roster, who's playing, it wouldn't surprise me if Goldschmidt could be. It depends on the starting pitcher, but it's all in all likelihood, it's going to be Ben Rice.
Yeah. So the thing is, Rice has been starting at first base all spring.
Yeah.
So the Yankees' game plan was to make him make him the starting first baseman. That was the that,
Yeah.
that was the that was the that was the plan all along, and he's been starting at first base for the majority of the spring training games. So I can't really. There's not a scenario where unless the Yankees do something unthinkable. I don't see it. There's not going to be a scenario where Goldschmidt's going to be starting on opening day. So Ben Rice is absolutely going to be a starter.
Yeah, it was very difficult to figure out when they brought Goldschmidt back. What were they going to do with him for the year? Because I agree with you. I think Goldschmidt is
Mhm.
a better bench player, and he will be a better player overall by playing 110 to 120 games instead of 140 to 150 games.
Yeah, Goldschmidt's role is honestly he knows why he signed back, right? I mean, the Yankees didn't sign him for a lot of money. He's going to be a backup. He's more than likely going to be playing in games where there's a lefty on the mound. Which, speaking of pitchers on the mound, so I don't know if you knew this, but next Wednesday when the Yankees play against the Giants on opening day, it's going to be Max Fried versus Logan Webb.
I don't. I may have heard about that, but
Mm-hmm.
not today. So
Yeah, so that apparently that's going to be the pitching matchup. It's going to be Max Fried versus Logan Webb. So, um, yeah, regardless, opening day, Ben Rice is going to get the majority of the starts at first base. I mean, that's been the Yankees' game plan all along, and they wanted him to focus on being their first baseman.
yeah, I don't think DeJong will make the team. I think he's going to opt out. But I think Grishik. I would love them to keep Grishik. I think they
Mm-hmm.
need a guy like him. But it's right now it's very difficult to see where he fits.
Yeah, DeYoung, I don't see. I see DeYoung opting out personally. I
Yeah,
think he'll opt
the
out, and
young,
some
the
team.
young is gone.
Yeah, DeYoung is. I think he's gone too. I think a team will pick him up. Grichuk, I mean, I could, he may just opt in, and the Yankees could, send him to the minors. Although I wouldn't mind seeing him on the bench, but again, it's hard, right? Because I've been harping on Max Schumann to make the opening day roster. I do like Max. Yeah, I do like Max Schumann. And what's up, dude? Good to see you, man.
Well, one thing that Max Schumann has that DeJong doesn't have that makes him easier to make the roster is that he's already on the 40 man. DeJong is not on the 40 man.
Correct.
So,
Yeah. No,
and
there is a
neither is
reason. There is a reason why the Yankees traded for Schumann. There is a reason why the Yankees got him because he's defensively he's really good, right? The guy has solid defense. The Yankees could figure out his bat. He doesn't have to be a power bat. He just needs to be a guy that hits for contact, which I think he can do a really good job of, and he hustles on the base pads. I mean, he's got some speed to him. So you definitely want to have a guy like that on the roster for sure. So so we got your starting rotation, we got your bench. Who are your starters, man? Like who's I think you already said it, but go ahead and say it again.
my starters for the okay.
Like your starting lineup. That's what I meant. That's what I should have said.
Well, my starting lineup. Let's see. Who's on the list right now?
So
Grisham, Judge, Bellinger. I put Jazz. Well, maybe not. I'll list my lineup. Maybe not in order.
sure.
Grisham, Judge, Bellinger, Chisholm, McMahon. I need. The problem is this list I have is not is correct. It might not be correct, but I would put Ben Rice. The shortstop, I forget his Caballero.
Caballero, yeah.
Yeah, because this list I have, the reason why it's confusing me is it's it does have Caballero. I put it right here. Wells is in the lineup. How long did how many did I name?
Well, you said Grisham, Judge, Bellinger, Jazz, McMahon, Rice, Caballero, Wells, right? So that's 8. So we need one more. Oh, why am I drawing a blank on this?
And Stanton.
Oh, yeah, the DH, right? Yeah, Giancarlo.
Yeah. I forgot Stanton. So that's my lineup. No particular order as of yet, but I think that's going to be the starting lineup on opening day.
It's going to be so in no particular order. Now, if you were to do the lineup, what would you like for the lineup? But let's start with that. What do you want for the how would you form the lineup? But and then once you form your lineup, how do you think the Yankees are going to form their lineup?
Well, my lineup as of now, I would put Grisham, Judge, Bellinger. Well, the problem with that is Rice. Grisham, Judge, Bellinger, Goldschmidt, Rice, and who? Rice. Well, Stanton. I would actually put Stanton and McMahon higher, but Stanton, McMahon, and Caballero. But I need to really look over that more. But those would be the 9 players.
Okay, yeah, because like for me, before I say something, before I say what my starting lineup what I would like as my starting lineup, what would your starting lineup like? How would you want to, or how do you think the Yankees are going to do it? Because you already, how do you think the Yankees are going to?
How do I think the Yankees would do it, or how would I want it?
How would you want it? Let's start with that.
I would lead off with Caballero because I like his speed and his contact. I would put Judge. I would put a lefty behind Judge, so I would probably put Rice behind Judge and then Stanton.
Interesting.
No, Bellinger, then Stanton, then Rice.
Oh, Bellinger. So you would have Stanton bat fourth?
I probably would.
Okay.
Bat fourth. Stanton. Okay. Rice.
So you would put Rice after Stanton?
The only problem with my lineup now is there's too many lefties.
And the way the lineup is, right? And a lot of the players on the Yankees, I mean, here's the thing. They have a lot of lefties in the lineup. What's up, Daniel Berry? Good to see you, bud. They have a lot of lefties in the lineup. So I think for a lot of these games, I mean, you're gonna see a lot of lefty bats. But that's what's nice about the bench is that the bench has a bunch of righty bats, except for JC Escarra. JC Escarra is the only lefty player on the bench. But that's what's going to be good about when opposing teams have lefties on the mound. Then they can, you'll see these righty bats. So you're going to see Rosario, Goldschmidt, Max Schumann come off the bench. So
and I think I
Yeah,
would have.
you might have frozen up there. Oh,
Yeah,
you're back. You're back. You're back. I see you now. But I so here's the thing. I agree with you about Caballero being at the top of the lineup. I mean, this
yeah.
was something that I remember I talked with Jason from 161 about this. I'm all for that because you had a guy at the top of the lineup. He could hit for contact if he wanted to. He could hit for power.
Yeah.
You could get on base. He could steal, right? He was the leader in base stealing last year with
Yeah.
49.
And the one there's also another reason why I would bet Caballero again ahead of Judge is because he can steal. He knows how to steal a base, and the Yankees over since Braun has been the manager has been very reluctant to steal any bases. And with a
Well,
guy like Caballero leading off, getting on base, he could make the pitcher work more, be a little nervous, and maybe make a mistake to Judge.
here's the thing. I know a lot of folks say that they were reluctant. Aaron Boone was reluctant on, letting guys steal. But let's be honest, who did they have over those years that were able to steal?
Well, they had a guys like Volpe. They just needed him to learn how to steal, and that's what spring training was for. Volpe, for I think for 1 year he had over 20 bases, stolen bases, but he didn't run over the last 2 years.
Well, Volpe also had a hard time getting on base,
Yes.
so there was also that problem too. So you're going to need more than Volpe to more guys that can steal. I mean, it can't just be Volpe, but as of right now, Volpe is not going to be on the team
No,
for now, right?
Volpe is look. I'm happy they got a guy like Caballero. Even though I think the guy they traded for him will be a great player, and I'm sad that the Yankees traded him.
Mm-hmm.
But Caballero is a player we need to win today, not 2 years from now.
Well, and that's the thing. There's a reason why the Yankees traded for Caballero because of his versatility, because he could steal bases, he can hit. He's a pest on the pest on the base path. So, not and I'm glad the Yankees got him. But sometimes you got to make those trades that are going to hurt a little bit. But the thing is, I know you're talking about. I know who you're talking about, but there was no room for him on the roster, especially with Dominguez and Spencer Jones on the team.
Yeah.
So, what's up, Cecilia? She says, "Hi, NFE and Chad is a scorcher out here in LA. Still putting my mock lineup together, but I know I want Giancarlo in fourth." So she's saying she wants Giancarlo Stanton batting fourth as well. So. Yeah. I actually just now, as I was listening to you and talking to you, I put together my own lineup. So
what is your lineup?
Caballero leading off. Right. I would love for Caballero to lead off. I don't want Grisham leading off personally. I think Grisham should bat elsewhere, and I'll let you know when. So I got Caballero batting lead off. Then I got Aaron Judge. Cody Bellinger's right behind him. I want Ben Rice at 4. After Ben Rice, I want Giancarlo Stanton at 5.
You're going with 2 straight lefties.
I mean, given the lineup, right? I mean, I like Rice at 4. I do.
Okay.
I like Rice at 4. I don't want Bellinger at 4. Stanton, I don't want at 4 either. Personally, that's just me, but I like Stanton at the 5th position or 5th order. Jazz right after him. I want Grisham at 7th, Wells at 8th, McMahon at 9th.
McMahon.
Yes, batting 9th.
Interesting.
Where would you have McMahon?
I would probably have him 8th and not 9th.
I mean, 8th would work too, but
the only reason for that is he has a hesitant. I know that he fixed his swing, but I'm talking from last year's experience. He had the tendency to strike out a lot. And if we're going to the ninth inning with an 8-9-1 or a 7-8-9, it
But
well
this is
let's just
where
keep going with an 8-9-1. I would much rather someone that can have a little bit higher on base percentage at the bottom of the lineup.
so higher on base percentage. So I mean, Jazz has a higher on base percentage. Grisham has a higher on base percentage. You want one of those guys batting ninth? I don't personally. Usually the guys that are batting eighth or ninth. I mean, I don't want to say that they're the weaker bats, but they're not the better bats that are batting at the bottom.
No.
So as far as you brought up something interesting. So like the ninth inning, right? You brought up eighth and ninth inning. Kind of depends on the situation of the game.
Yes.
Right? If the Yankees are down one and they need, McMahon's having a bad game, he's 0 for 2, 0 for 3, they could put a pinch hitter in there. They could use somebody off the bench. So the Yankees have, again, with the bench that they have, if the bench comes into fruition as far as what we want for the bench, as far as what you want, what I want, what I don't know what other fans are looking are wanting. The Yankees have a little bit of a better option, but a lot of times, though, when it comes to the lineup, a lot of the best bats are always going to be at the top. They're never going to be at the bottom. That's why, hence the reason why I have McMahon batting ninth. Would I be opposed to him batting eighth? No, but if it was up to me, I would bat him ninth. But that's just me. Again, we could agree to disagree on this.
Well, whether we agree or not is irrelevant because neither of us are making the lineup.
No, we're not. I have my wish list. Like I said, this is why I said it's my prediction. It's your prediction. I mean, we may not even be right on this lineup, but like this is how I would want my lineup. But I think at the end of the day, I don't see Caballero. Caballero's not going to lead off. Like it's not going to happen when we're facing reality. I mean, Grisham is going to be the guy that's going to lead off.
Chances are, in less than 7 days, you'll have all the answers to all your questions about the lineup.
Yeah, I'm just having a little fun with this. So for me,
look, but it's nice to hold the lineup and see the named and play manager for an hour.
Yeah, I mean, I was playing around with this like last week with who the starters are going to be, who the bench players are going to be, who's going to be in the rotation, who's going to be in the bullpen. Tell you what, man, it's can't imagine what those guys up at the top, like Aaron Boone and the coaching staff, have to deal with. It's a hard decision, man. It's hard to come up with a 26-man roster.
That's why they get paid to do it.
Yeah, well, I'm not there yet. Maybe I will be. We'll see. But Cecilia somewhat has her lineup. She's going Caballero leading off, then Bellinger, then Judge, Giancarlo, Jazz. Then she didn't say anybody else after that, but those would be her top 5. And Joseph, what's up? Joseph says, "Hey, Anafia, I like Caballero leading off too." I like the idea of Caballero leading off, but in reality, though, it's more than likely going to be Trent Grisham leading off. I think that's the inevitable. But if we're looking at what the Yankees lineup and what I think they're going to do, honestly, it's probably going to be Grisham, Judge, Bellinger. I'm still going to say Rice at 4, and I think they'll have Stanton at 5. And Jazz batting 6th. And then they'll have the 7 through 9 is going to be Caballero, Wells, McMahon.
Yeah, that's very likely as well.
Like in reality, I think this is what the Yankees are going to do. I think the Yankees are, I think inevitably this is going to be probably their starting lineup. It's going to be Grisham, Judge, Bellinger, Rice, Stanton, Jazz, Caballero, Wells, McMahon. But I'd rather have Grisham down there in Caballero's spot in the 7th spot and put Caballero at the leadoff. I like Caballero. I would rather have him lead off, but again, I think in reality, I do not think that's probably going to be the case. But as far as the lineup,
the lineup on opening day will not be the same lineup in September.
it's going to be different. It might be different. I mean, we don't know, but we don't know for sure. But it could look it could look a little different. But only time will tell. But would you agree that this is probably going to be the Yankee starting lineup right here?
I agree. That's probably that's going to be the lineup, or close to it. If that's not the lineup, it's going to be the same guys in a different order, and only the bottom 4 may be changed.
Yeah, I think this is what the lineup is going to be. I don't like the idea of Grisham leading off, but ultimately, I think this is what the Yankees are going to do. Yep.
Maybe I should give you another prediction. I think this is the year that Austin Wells will take off. He will have a breakout season this year. I'm predicting Austin Wells will have a breakout season this year. And I'm saying career highs in batting average and on base percentage.
I hope to see it, man. I really hope to see it. I know a lot of Yankees fans are hoping for the same thing.
That is my
prediction. Yeah, I like it. I do think that Wells has all. He's got the potential. He's capable. Just needs to, it just needs to translate on the field. That's all.
If I can get 270 with 25 to 30 home runs and a 370 on base percentage from Austin Wells, I'll take it.
I mean, I'll take that all day. Personally, I don't know that Wells will hit 270. I hope he proves me wrong.
270.
I don't see it personally. I mean, if he does it, cool. I'll shut my mouth. But personally, I really think he, at the best, if he needs to see his full potential, 240 to 250.
240 to 250.
Yeah, personally, that's just me. But if he hits 270, like I said, sign me up, dude. I'll take 270 from him all day. All right, so we talked about the starting pitching. We talked about the bench. We talked about the lineup. Who is in your bullpen? And Scotto, dude, I totally agree. I'll take 240 from Wells too. And yes, Jake Boss, we definitely need a lineup where Grisham hits 7th. I mean, that's where I would put him if it was up to me. And Steve Levine says about the guy that got from the Rule 5 draft, they have to use your. They have to what?
He wants them to return him.
That's probably what's going to happen. I like Cade Winquist. He's got the stuff. He throws a lot of heat, but it's just not, to me, it's just not translating on the mound. So, but who's in your bullpen? Let's talk about the bullpen.
David Bednar.
Okay.
I'm guessing Jake Bird, Cruz, Duvall, Tim Hill.
Okay.
Ryan Weathers and Ryan Yarbrough. And I also like Castro. I think Castro will make the team out of. Did I say? I don't remember saying his name.
Castro. I didn't hear you say Castro, but
I think he will make the team out of spring training.
You think he'll make the team out of spring training? Okay. It's entirely possible. Hold on. So Cecilia giving us her lineup here. She's saying Cabby, Belly, Judge, Giancarlo, Jazz, Rice, Grish. Up in the air with 8. It's probably. I mean, up in the air would be Wells. I mean that unless you want to switch up Wells. Yeah. And
It
McMahon is
has
your
to be
number 9.
Wells.
Yeah. So Cecilia and I almost have the same lineup
Yeah.
with a couple of differences. And shout
Yeah.
out to Raymond. What's up, Raymond? Good to see you,
As
buddy.
I said, with that lineup, it has to be Wells. It has to be there's no one else that play catcher in that lineup.
Right. But I got a question for you about the bullpen because you said Weathers and Yarborough in the bullpen, but you also have them in the rotation.
Did I have them in the rotation?
Well, you said Fried, Schlittler, Warren, Yarborough, and then you said Hill or
Okay,
Weather.
then forget Yarborough in the rotation and not in the. Then I must have put him
It's
in
okay.
the. Yeah.
Petruzzi, what's up, dude? Good to see you, bro. It's all good, man. Don't worry about it. I know you gotta. If you gotta work, you gotta work, bro. Work comes
Yarborough
first.
in the rotation, Weathers in the bullpen.
So you got Weathers in the bullpen, and you got Yarbrough in the rotation.
Yeah.
So you got Fried, Schlittler, Warren, Yarbrough, Hill in your rotation.
Yeah, Lewis Hill. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Luis Hill. Fried, Schlittler, Warren, Yarbrough, Hill. So then your bullpen would be Bednar, Bird, Cruz, Duvall, Hill, Weathers, Castro.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a slight possibility of De Los Santos coming, but I'm not sure he's going to start the season in the majors.
I don't either. I do not see Yari De Los Santos. So I definitely don't see Yari De Los Santos. No way, man. I'm in agreement with you on that. So Bednar, Bird, Cruz, Duvall, Hill, Weathers, Castro. So you don't see Blackburn or Hedrick making the opening day roster?
If they probably will, because this is the lineup that I put out, and the one thing that I'm not thinking of when I made the roster is 60 man move.
Yeah, I'm strictly just talking about the 26 man, strictly talking opening day. So you don't. So again, you don't see Hedrick or.
I think there's going to be a roster crunch, and the Yankees will have to make a move.
Mm-hmm.
So one of those guys, even though they're good, they will not make the roster.
Yeah. So, yeah, my ultimately my bullpen. Honestly, I think my bullpen is looking like this. It's going to be Bednar, Duvall, Cruz, Bird, Weathers, Tim Hill, Brett Hedrick, and then Paul Blackburn. Uh-huh.
So you do not have Castro?
I don't have Castro, no. But Castro could very well make the opening day roster.
Yeah,
he's definitely making a case.
Castro has shown me enough this spring training that I think he will be a bullpen piece, especially he has a .96 ERA in 9 1/3 starts. So, look, I understand that he hasn't pitched in a regular season in 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
but I think he's done enough to show that he could be in a major league bullpen. But because he's relatively unknown, that could be a coin flip, and the Yankees might go with someone they're more familiar with. In regards to and that's where your prediction comes in.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to say. This is one of those like rosters. It's going to be really interesting. I'm particularly interested in what they do with the bullpen because I feel like the bullpen is going to be their biggest challenge in terms of who they want in there. I mean, we know the obvious ones. We know that Bednar and Duvall are going to be in there. I think Tim Hill is going to be in there, but Those are the three.
I think Jake Bird is gonna.
Yeah. Jake Bird. I mean, Jake Bird, he's had some good moments.
And
He's
Cruz.
also, huh?
And Cruz
Yeah,
is
Fernando
probably
Cruz is going to be in there.
yeah.
Pixelmon says there's no way Weathers is in the bullpen considering what they gave up for him. Yarbrough's in the pen.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, again, would I rule one of the versions that I had in terms of opening day roster. I had Ryan Weathers in the rotation over Ryan Yarbrough. So that could still be a possibility, but there's part of me just really thinks that that Weathers could start out in the bullpen, and having a guy like that in the bullpen, a lefty bullpen to complement Tim Hill, I wouldn't complain about that.
So here's a question. Who do you think could be the biggest surprise out of everybody that is on the current roster or could make the roster this year that's in the minors?
That's going to be a surprise.
Yeah, similar to how Schlittler came when nobody knew Schlittler and what he did. Nobody knew that Schlittler would be what he was. Surprise.
I mean, that's hard to say. That who they could call up that would be a surprise. I mean,
or anybody that can take. Maybe I should ask it more simpler. Who could they call up who's not on the 40-man and have an immediate impact that could really help the team?
Nobody comes to mind right now. I'll be honest. And Aiden, I see your messages, dude. I see your messages. Well, if you're asking about Lagrange, I don't think Lagrange is going to make the opening day roster. Luis Hill will be in the pen, maybe later in the season. Yeah. So that's how I'm going to respond to that. Cabby would do great at leadoff. I would love him at the leadoff spot, but I don't see that happening. Unless the Yankees surprise us. But in terms of your question, Jonathan, I can't think of anybody that's not on the 40-man that's going to make an impact this season.
The only guy that I can think of is Lagrange.
But okay. I mean, I guess I could have said Lagrange. I could have said, I guess I could have said Elmer Rodriguez. It would be a surprise. For me.
He's not on he's already on the 40-man.
Yeah, he's already on the 40-man, but that would be a surprise for me.
I mean, there's one other guy that I'm thinking of that has a very long shot, depending how he does, and that would be Ben Hess.
Ben Hess, I mean,
but that's a long shot.
Yeah, Ben Hess could be he could be a surprise too. I mean, actually no, you know what? Ben Hess wouldn't be a surprise for me. Honestly, because we've been seeing him pitch. I've been seeing him pitch, seen him in some games in the minors and what he's done, and seen him what he's done during spring training. I feel like he's capable. Now, the one guy, to be honest with you, that would surprise me, but the Yankees aren't going to call him up. Is Lombard Jr.
Lombard Jr. Yeah,
his fielding wouldn't surprise me because his defense is fantastic, but the bat. So because he does need to improve with the bat, which I think he can. If he's able to improve with the bat, then if the Yankees were to call him up, he could be a surprise with the bat.
I think Lombard needs a full season in AAA this year, although he's probably going to start in AA.
Let him start in AA. He has to start in AA. We don't want to rush him. I like what I've seen from him during spring training. I like what he's done during spring training, and but I don't want to rush him up to AAA just yet, but I think he will. I believe he'll get there. I believe he'll get there, but I think it's just going to take a little time. But yeah, I think Lombard Jr. As far as a surprise, I mean, he was surprised me with the bat. The Cade Winquest did not get returned yet, but I think he will get returned. And shout out to Chef Nick. What up, Chef? Good to see you, dude. It's been a while since I've seen you in here. What's going on, dude? And Official is coming out with his rotation. Fried, Schlittler until Rodon comes back. Will Warren, Luis Hill, Weathers.
You think they're going to take out Schlittler when Rodon gets back?
It's a possibility. They're not going to take him out of the rotation, but they'll move him down in the rotation.
Down in the rotation,
maybe. But
yeah, Weathers would when Rodon gets back in that rotation. Probably Weathers is no longer in the rotation.
And don't forget about Garrett Cole either, because Garrett Cole is going to make his comeback as well. And Official says bullpen: Bednar, Duvall, Tim Hill, Yarborough, Cruz, Bird, Blackburn, Hedrick. So he has his bullpen is pretty similar to a little bit similar to mine with a couple of minor differences. Do I think Jones will get a late season call up second half? I think Jones might be the guy they call up if Giancarlo Stanton gets hurt.
Yeah. He will be the first guy called up if they need an outfielder.
Yeah, but I think he should. I think he could be a guy that they could call up this year. I liked what I've seen from Spencer Jones. So should there be an injury to an outfielder, God forbid, should there be an injury to Giancarlo Stanton, Spencer Jones can absolutely be called up, and I would love for him to get called up. I personally think this guy is major league ready. And Official says when Cole comes back, it will be Fried, Cole, Hill, Warren, Weathers. Where's Carlos Rodon though, dude? You got to have Carlos Rodon in there. So
Rodon is he's missing the first few weeks, so maybe thinking about opening day.
Well, Cole is not going to be on the opening day roster, right?
No.
So Pixelmon's asking, would I trade Jason Dominguez for a catcher?
No.
If I would trade Jason Dominguez for pitching. Yeah, I wouldn't just trade him just to trade him, though. It needs to be some good quality pitching. So Joseph Salvatore says Schumann will be a pleasant surprise. I think Schumann will contribute to this team. I really believe that. Official says Fried, Cole, Rodon, Hill, Weathers. So Fried, Cole, Rodon, Hill. So you think Schlittler is going to be taken out of the rotation, Official? Because I don't think there's anywhere in the world that's going to happen, dude.
No.
There's no way. I mean, I'm just trying to. Again, I'm not trying to shoot down what your rotation here, right? That's not my intention, but I don't think there's a place in the world where Cam Schlittler is going to be taken out of the rotation. Realistically speaking, like I said, I think once Cole and Rodon come back, you're probably looking at Fried, Cole, Rodon, Schlittler, and then Will Warren.
I don't think Schlittler is going to the pen.
I understand what he's trying to say. I get it, but I'm right there with you. I personally do not see Schlittler going to the pen because he's been starting in games. I know so is Weathers. I get that. I know Weathers has been starting too. I understand, but I just don't see a world where Schlittler goes to the bullpen. And Chris P is in the building, says Fried, Cole, Rodon, Schlittler, Warren will be the final rotation. That's what I'm thinking too, Chris. What if Schlittler isn't as good as last year? I mean, we're going to find out.
Yeah, the MLB predicts both Lagrange and Rodriguez Cruz being called up this year. The one guy that would be surprising and that nobody has thought of because he's coming back from injury would be Chase Hampton.
Yeah, but he's a little bit of ways
Yeah,
away.
he's coming back from Tommy John surgery.
Right. Yeah. So it's going to be a little bit till he gets back. Pixelmon's asking, is everyone just expecting Schlittler to dominate? I mean, did we expect him to perform the way he did when he was called up? I don't know if anybody expected that, but he's looked pretty decent this spring, and I do expect him to be very effective this year. And if he's not, I would wonder what happened to him. But
I think Schlittler is going to be just fine, Barry, as
Mhm.
long as he's healthy and
Right.
he takes good care of himself. He doesn't get hurt. And the Yankees are not stupid with him. He's going to be just fine.
Yeah, and Russ Morgan is joining us from X. He's saying Cole, Fried, Rodon, Schlittler, Weather, Warren spot start, and then he'll move to the pen.
He'll move.
Yeah, and then he's saying that Will Warren will be a spot
Maybe.
starter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look,
That's a different take.
I think I've been talking for the last 2 years, even before Heel got hurt the first time. I think Heel would be a better bullpen role, a long relief guy, or even a possible closer.
I don't want him as a closer.
But
I definitely
he would be good. If he was in the bullpen and if you had a guy like Yoba starting and he only went 2 innings, I would bring in a guy like Heel to replace him.
Yeah, I wouldn't want Luis Hill as a closer personally. I think the Yankees need to go a different. They already have Bednar.
They already have Bednar, but
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking last year when after he came back from injury before they got Bednar.
Yeah. But Weathers, Russ is also saying that Weathers has injury history. He would be a great long reliever. I mean, that's the reason why I would put Weathers for that reason is because, he would be a great long relief guy. He just like Yarbrough would be. And Pixelmon saying that, he would trade high on Warren, that he doesn't think he'll become a great starter. Warren was never projected to be like an ace. I mean, the guy was always projected to, at best, a number 3 starter, but in reality, he's a number 4 starter. I mean, it's not like Will Warren was looked at as an ace. He was never looked at as an ace. But last year, he had a lot of ups and downs, but he also showed how durable he can be. I mean, the guy was never hurt. He gave you a lot of games. He gave you some good games. I mean, he was durable. So, I have no problems with Will Warren, but he is your perfect number 4 guy in the rotation.
So here's another question. Where on the current roster, our opening day roster, do you think the Yankees need the most improvement?
The most improvement? The bullpen. Pitching. The pitching, period. Pitching. Because I know there was that argument of, the Yankees are running it back. But the thing is, they're bringing back a lot of the same bats, or most of the same bats. Their offense is pretty much the same. But the offense was actually they were pretty high in a lot of the categories, right? For on base percentage, slugging, right? So they were pretty high in those categories.
Just remember one thing when someone tells you that's running it back. This Yankee opening day is very different than last Yankee opening day for the sole purpose of they made a lot of them off-season moves at the trade deadline last year. They made 7 trades in the last day last year. So they made a lot of moves for this year in July.
No argument for me. I mean, this is a much different looking. This is a lot. This team is looking a lot different than where it was last year because there's a
Yeah,
lot of guys that are not on this team. And I remember I made
they
a
have
list of
Cole
players that
back.
are not on this team. So
Cole coming
yeah,
back.
you don't, huh?
Cole is coming back as well.
Well, it's not. I mean, Cole's coming back, but here's the thing: there is no DJ LeMahieu, there's no Marcus Stroman, there's no Ian Hamilton, Mark Leiter Jr., Jonathan Loisaga, Devin Williams, Luke Weaver. Scott Efros is not on this team anymore. So, there's a lot of guys that are not on this roster this season that were they were there last season.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's not the same team
No,
because
it's not.
there was a lot of people that I heard during the off season that this is just the same old team.
It's not the same team. I mean, like, go look at the 2025 roster. Go look for the
I,
2026.
I
And I want folks to tell me if it's the same roster because it's definitely not the same roster. And Cecilia, yes, I am planning on calling opening day. I am I am planning on doing the play by play for that one. So for that game, and just so everybody knows, real quick, I I'm more than likely going to be combining the pregame and the play by play together. Where I used to do two separate live streams. I'm probably just going to do one whole live stream, and I'm probably going to be just live for 3 or 4 hours. So just to kind of let everybody know. So we're gonna do a little test run on opening day, see how it works out. But my game plan for the 2026 season is to do the pregame and the play by play together. So I'm actually looking forward to that. But I am
and
planning on calling the game opening day.
and I believe Stroman is still out there. I don't think he's
Stroman,
on the team.
yeah, Stroman is still out there. Lucas Giolito is still out there. I know Aiden was asking about Lucas Giolito, but the Yankees are not going to get Lucas Giolito. That's not going to happen. Third, and then Pixelmon saying he thinks he's saying third base and shortstop offensively need improvement. I'm right there with you. Offensively, from an offensive production point of view, absolutely there needs to be some production from
Well,
offensively from McMahon, and hopefully we could get that offensive production from Caballero.
yeah, one thing to remember. Last year they drafted a lot of infielders, so
Mm-hmm.
I think next year we will have we will have either another shortstop or a third baseman, depending on if Volpe does not improve his game this year. I think that the Yankees will move on next year because they have so many infield prospects that one of them may be out Volpe.
Mm-hmm. Here's a question I'll ask you, Jonathan, because I kind of go back and forth on this with a little bit with a couple of people. Do you think that, assuming that the Yankees don't sign Chisholm Jr. back when he becomes a free agent, do you think there's a possibility that the Yankees could call up Dax Kilby because he's moving up in the ranks fairly quickly?
Look, I think they will probably give a chance to Lombard before Kilby. But if Kilby has, let's just say Kilby has a killer year this year and he ends up in double A and Lombard is still struggling, I can see Kilby overtake Lombard in their minds. And
So,
Lombard, look, the Yankees drafted a lot of shortstops in the last 2 years. So they had to have a thinking that Lombard may not be a long term stick at shortstop. Maybe Lombard can be a third baseman. Lombard has a great arm, great defense. He probably can play major league defense today. If his bat can catch up to his glove, then I think the Yankees may move on from Volpe.
Yeah, I guess you probably didn't understand my question. I was asking if
Volpe.
assuming if the Yankees don't sign Jazz back, can you see a world where they call Dax Kilby to take over second base? Because
Next year, yes.
huh?
Next year, yes.
Okay.
This year, you
This year,
might.
no.
This year, no. This year, if Kilby has is a Kilby has the potential to move fast in the system, I could see a scenario where Lombard ends the year in AAA and Kilby in AA, and you will both see them next year in spring training.
Fair enough. So Pixelmon thinks Goldie, Ascar, Rosario, and Grichuk. So that was one of the predictions that I had, Pixelmon. But the other prediction that I had too is Goldie, Ascara, Rosario, and Max Schumann. And the reason why I bring up Max Schumann is because of his versatility. He could play anywhere in the infield. He could also play the outfield too. His best position is really second base, but if you need him to play in at third base, shortstop, he could play. He played at several different positions when he was with the Athletics last year.
And another thing I would love the Yankees not to do is to play favorites. If they like a player and they bring him up and he struggles, don't continue to play him if you have other options.
Well, now they have options.
Now they have options.
Now they have options. But how do they utilize those options? We don't know. Are they going to utilize the bench the way they should utilize the bench? Only time will tell. And then Rosario would be outfield depth. It'd be Rosario and Schumann. Again, I got Schumann.
I think making the roster. I think Schumann is very versatile. He probably can play 6 positions.
Yeah, he could play a lot of positions. So I think the Yankees need to have him on the bench. I think he needs to make this opening day roster.
Well, that was one mistake. It wasn't a mistake. That was a big problem last year that happened when Cabrera went down. When they lost Cabrera last year. I think they went about 6 weeks into a funk because they were missing a very big piece off the bench. And that's probably what cost them the AL East.
Yeah, well, all we can do is hope that the Yankees have a better season. It's going to be an interesting season. I still don't know how many games they're going to win. I'm holding off on that prediction for now. But I know last year I said that they would win 93 games. They won 94. But how many games did they win this year? I'm gonna hold off for now.
Yeah.
But one last question. What was that?
This year is going to be a very tight race for the AL East, and they're already. I think it's a coin flip. There's 4 teams that definitely could win first place, and I don't know about Baltimore. Any team can win. There are no favorites in the AL East.
No, I mean AL East it's always a tough division. It'll always be a tough division. It's never an easy division. So, Toronto's going to be good, right? Toronto's going to they're going to they got a good squad. I mean, Boston I think is going to be a better team too. So, the Yankees like every year, they're going to have their hands full for 2026. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see what the season brings. But one last question, because I do need to get going. I'm going to log off here momentarily. And I appreciate you jumping on, Jonathan. You're pretty much wherever there's an open panel, Jonathan's like, I'm jumping on. Let's go.
Well, I'm always available in the evening, so if I'm free, I try to make my time available, and I enjoy talking baseball.
Understood. Yeah, and I know you're passionate about baseball, and I appreciate that. One last question: how are you liking the ABS system so far?
I like it. I
Okay.
think it's. I think it will actually. It will be very helpful to what baseball wants to do in terms of speeding up the games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the only thing, especially with the ABS system, I would like to see is I would probably give the pitcher and the pitch clock maybe a slightly more time, maybe 22 seconds instead of 18 seconds, just a little bit more time,
Sure.
because you want baseball to be an easy pace, but you also want to sit there and enjoy the game. You don't want to get to the game at 12 and leave at 2:30. You and one way you can make the game slightly longer is maybe add 2 seconds to the pitch clock.
Okay. Fair enough. And do you like the fact that it's only 2 challenges per game?
I think it should be a little bit more, but this is the first year of it, and we'll see what happens. And also, I don't know all the rules of the pitch clock. I don't know if they get more challenges during extra innings,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
but I think eventually they might add some challenges.
Yeah,
But
I think they should make it so with the whole ABS thing. I think they should allow teams 3 challenges instead of two. I think two is too little, but I think three would be just right. But maybe they'll make changes along the
three.
way.
Well, next year is it's too early to think about this, but next year is going to be a hard battle in the next CBA. I think it's going to be a fight like I don't know, like George Foreman and Muhammad Ali fight again and whoever MMA fighters that who are the top two guys that on your list that could fight that type of fight.
Yeah, and we'll just end it with and as far as like that stuff goes with the CBA, that's a whole separate conversation. That's another stream for another day. But we'll talk about that at a different time in the future. Pixelmon saying Grisham's batting averages in postseason. Well, dude, guess what? Kyle Tucker's batting. Last I checked, he was batting 182 in spring training. I mean, I'm sure Dodgers fans are not worried about Kyle Tucker, but he's not hitting so hot in spring training. So, I mean, I'll just end it with that. But anyway, I'm gonna end the live stream here. But Jonathan, thanks for jumping on. Thanks to everybody who joined and participated in the chat at least. So, I don't do open panels often. It's a rare one. Today I just decided, you know what, I am going to do an open panel. Whoever wants to jump on, but just look out, folks. I don't say when I'm going to do an open panel, so it always comes as a surprise.
I think in all the years I've been following you, I only remember this is the third one.
The third one,
open panel.
I've done plenty of open panels in the past, dude. I've just cut down.
The third one that I've been a part of.
You've been a part of more.
Well,
you've been a part of more. You probably don't remember, but I know for a fact you've been a part of more, man. I already know.
Yeah, maybe I can, from the top of my head, I remember doing one when I was in Seattle, in Philadelphia, and today. But I'm sure you've been doing more.
No, you've jumped on way more. You've jumped on almost every single one that I've done. So, and I know I've done more.
Like I said, if I'm available, I'll jump on and we can have a chat.
You're good, buddy. You're good, man. But anyway, Yeah, Jonathan, I'm gonna go ahead and drop you down, buddy. But I appreciate you jumping on, man. It's always a pleasure chopping it up with you and chopping it up with everybody else. So let me go ahead and just take you off the screen here and get myself on the screen. So I'm going to end it right here, folks. We've been live for a little over an hour and a half. So appreciate everybody tuning in, jumping on. 1 week away, folks. 1 week away. New York Yankees versus San Francisco Giants on Netflix. Can you believe that? Netflix. We're 7 days away. I can't wait. Hopefully, you're all looking forward to it too. I know I am. But thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you to Jonathan for jumping on. Shout out to everybody in the chat. So make sure you all hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, share this channel out with everybody you know. I would greatly appreciate it. And I might do a little giveaway. I'm going to do a little giveaway next Wednesday on opening day. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you all very much. Have a great night, everyone. Enjoy your evening. I'll see you all next time. And as always, let's go Yankees.